The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Talking politics with Phil Goff.
Right now we do talk to the leader of the Labour Party, Phil Goff, with us this morning. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Wammo.
Good morning. Now, first up, what was with the man love moment with John Key last week?
Oh, it's giving credit where credit's due. He is a very slick operator. He knows how to use the photo opportunity. He polls regularly, and as a weather vane politician, he's really good at it.
What do you mean by weather vane?
Oh, well, he looks at which way the wind's blowing and goes with it.
Okay. So you don't do that?
Oh, look, I think that, there's a difference in politics between why people go into it. I guess I went into it because I've got some fairly strong beliefs that I want to see, how New Zealand develops, how we can change New Zealand, how we can make it better. Sometimes you've got to stand up and say things that are unpopular, even if the public aren't with you at the time. And as a leader, you've got to make the hard decisions around what's best for the country, rather than flip-flopping one way and the other. So, yeah, I mean that's part of the role of a person that's leading in politics. And I'm not detracting from what John Key is good at. He is very smooth. He's very slick in how he puts it across.
So smooth and slick.
Credit for that.
But smooth and slick isn't really praise, is it? I mean, it's a veiled insult, really, isn't it?
No, it's an acknowledgement that he's good at that form of politics. I think it's a statement that most people would see and acknowledge as true.
Okay, so. Does that mean you're not smooth and slick? I mean,
I don't think I've ever been accused of being slick, actually, Wammo. It's not my style.
I mean, what do you think are your bad points, then?
I think that one of the things that you've got to adjust to when you take over the leadership of a political party is that it's a lot more about you as an individual, as a human being, what makes you tick. It's not simply doing a job competently and effectively, which is what I guess I've spent most of my life trying to do as a cabinet minister. So it's adjusting to the different role of being leader of a party, leader of the opposition. Also, I guess, having been in government for 15 years, I have a naturally constructive approach to politics. And I suppose in opposition you've got to show a bit more of the mongrel, and maybe that's what I need to do a bit more of as well.
So you're also saying that, okay, you know politics, you know how to be the politician, but maybe you aren't as warm to the public as perhaps what John Key is.
Well, I think it's also, the role of the leader of the opposition is a challenging one, as I think Bill English and Helen Clark and Mike Moore and others would testify to. And it's important that you don't, when you do your television grabs, it's really easy to come across as simply being negative. You're always opposing what the government's doing. Well, no, there are times when I support what the government's doing. The trade area is a clear one where I'll be out there and I'll be working on behalf of New Zealand, and I'll be working alongside the government. But obviously, most of what attracts attention is where there is a difference of opinion, and there are strong differences of opinion, and I stand by that. And I'll be highlighting, the alternative approach that a Labour government would take in a heck of a lot of areas of what's happening at the present time.
Would you say the 3 News poll released last night more accurately reflects the situation rather than the Colma Brunton from the week before, where Nationals support is down 4.2%, Labour is up 4.2% on to 33.8%?
Well, I think what the TV3 poll shows is it's coming into line with the overall polls that show that Labour's doing a bit better than it was at the last election. National's obviously doing quite a lot better than it was at the last election, and that's been at the expense of the other parties. From our point of view, yes, we've consolidated our base. Yes, we've got a solid group of people behind us there. We're not falling into the situation that Bill English did, where he fell to 20%, or actually Helen did in the first term of opposition, where Labour at one stage was down around 14%. We're in a relatively strong position, but we've got to do better. We've got to learn from our mistakes. We've got to get our organisation right. We've got to get our policies out there. That's what I'm doing.
You've previously served as Minister of Defence, haven't you, Phil?
I did, last 3 years, from 2005 to 2008.
So you'd certainly know the sorrow in the armed forces at the moment after the unfortunate deaths yesterday in the Iroquois helicopter.
A real tragedy. I found out about it at the dawn service that I was attending in Auckland, and the poignancy of probably the worst Air Force crash we've had in 25 years. occurring on Anzac Day, and you immediately, your heart goes out to the families of the young men that were killed, the pain, the grief that they will be suffering, but also really for the Defence Force as a whole, because we're a small country and a relatively small Defence Force. Everybody will either know or know somebody who knows those who lost their lives, and the Defence Force does act as a family in that regard. And there'll be some immense grief felt at Ohakea and around the country that these young men with so much to offer in life have lost their lives in this way.
And also horrible to see photos of the Iroquois downed like that when it is such a symbol of rescue and hope in many places as well.
Well, the Iroquois has been a fantastic aircraft. I've done, it'd probably be hundreds of hours in them over time in different capacities. They're hugely reliable, and we've had them 44 years. They're older than all of their pilots. But they have been they have been a consistently good aircraft. They're well maintained. So I don't want to preempt the inquiry, but I'd be surprised if they found that there was a mechanical difficulty with it that could have been prevented. It was dark, it was foggy, and look, let's leave it to the inquiry. But those have been good aircraft. We've had a very low rate of accidents in the Iroquois, and by the end of next year, of course, we'll have a new fleet of NH-90 that'll be state-of-the-art aircraft.
But less of them, won't we? Less of them?
Yeah, there'll be, there's 8 NH-90s plus one purchased for spares, instead of, I think, about 14 Iroquois. But we've also got the training helicopter, the Sioux, which goes back even further to the Korean. You remember MASH? That's the Sioux, and that's being replaced with the Augusta Westland A109. And that will be able to fill in for a lot of work that the Iroquois would have been done. So we have two new aircraft, a rotary wing, one of which will have hugely greater capacity than the Iroquois, and the other that will be able to do a lot of the tasking that the Iroquois would normally do. So we've covered it pretty well, I think.
Would you say this is the side of politics that you really enjoy, Phil? You like talking about the defence side and foreign affairs and that sort of thing. This is really your forte.
Oh, look, I like all aspects of politics, but, do you prefer to be in government or in opposition? No, I prefer to be in government where I can make a difference for the country that I believe in. I like to be constructive, but the nature of politics is it goes in cycles. I've done 15 years in government, but this is my third term in opposition. I've been there before, and you've got to use the opportunities that opposition offers. That is to rethink your policies, to renew your team, to get out there alongside the New Zealand communities, and to be in touch and to speak out on their behalf. So I think our system works pretty well. You don't like being in opposition, but learn from it and take the opportunity to get to know your community better and to find out the things that the community are concerned about and address your answers to those concerns.
Phil Goff, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks very much. Good to talk to you, mate. Cheers.
Leader of the Labour Party, Phil Goff there.